Yeah, so I haven't prepared anything that much, but I would just want to say why I think this is important. So many of you probably remember the time when we had multiple different Debian packaging systems, and now it's mostly standardized on DH. And people remember the time when we were using CVS and Subversion and whatever, and now it's standardized on Git. And now it seems that also the location of the repositories is standardizing on Salsa, and people who have experience of contributing to open source outside of Debian quite often come across GitHub, and GitLab is an excellent alternative to that, and it's, at least personally, I feel it's much more enjoyable to contribute to Debian when I can use a modern platform to do that. And I also think that this will lower the barrier for entry for new maintainers and new contributors significantly. And also for the old developers, makes life nicer. And it's not just that the tooling is great with Git and stuff, but also we have new things like the continuous integration, which is not standard on GitHub. It's something that's built into GitLab. And I had a talk on Tuesday on how we use it in MariaDB packaging. How many of you saw that one? Yeah, maybe half. The slides are online, so you can check it out. And it's a great way to improve the quality. And I feel that improving the quality of what we do is make this whole thing of participating into Debian more rewarding. And I think that this is, Salsa is quite new. It was introduced, it came into beta in December 2017, so we've been using it for 2 years now, 1.5 actually. And SalsaCI is also very new. We've been using SalsaCI for only a year about now. So these are very new, but they are hugely popular, which shows that they are very important. And the whole thing, what teams are doing, and maybe the meaning of Salsa to the entire Debian project is still maybe a little bit in the air. So I would like to have some attention to this topic. All right, so I put up some questions or some starters in Gobi. So first of all, the situation is that Salsa is maintained by Salsa admins team, and then SalsaCI is a separate team. And my personal opinion is that they should be one and same team, because they're basically the goal, what they're doing, I think, is the same thing. They're advancing the same goals. Do we have any Salsa admin members on IRC watching this? Yes. You will reply when you hear this. And you can see on the wiki page, you can see the name of the 3 people maintaining Salsa. And at this point, I would like to thank them for their work. I really use it all the time. And then we have the SalsaCI team, and maybe you could present it.
Yeah, I gave a talk on Tuesday morning. SalsaCI is just, well, we are 3 or 4 active contributors, but there are many, like maybe 15 people that they are pushing new changes on it. And it's basically just a recipe that you can use on customizing your packages. The idea is avoiding having customizations, trying to cover the very often cases or the most often cases that Debian developers needs. And I think that that's all. It's just a recipe with a YAM file, and you can include that YAM file in your repository, and you will have the same coverage that we have after that you uploaded your package. So the idea is catching the bugs before they arrive to into the archive. So every time that you push, well, the auto talk is really good explaining this kind of thing, but every time that you pushed, the pipeline builds, and then it has 5 tests, I guess, so far. Lintian check, auto package test, repro test, which is the reproducibility test, and yeah, I don't want to forget anyone any other job, but yeah, Otto is building logs, hardening checks, well, the hardening check flags, and pew parts. So without any effort, you can get that that coverage, that test, those tests, just included the YAM file. So basically, the SalsaCI team is trying to grab the Debian developers workflow and get that workflow, different workflow inside of the recipe. Just that. I think that the biggest issue now is we are 2 teams and we don't communicate too much between each other. And I think that I agree with Otto that we need to talk more.
This is a good introduction to the first topic. I would like to discuss communication. So first, communication to the audience is that if you're interested in Salsa CI, then the starting point for you is to go to the salsa.debian.org/salsa-ci-team, and here you can open the pipeline, and it has a README. So at the moment, this is the canonical documentation for what Salsa CI is. Is there something else? Yeah, and then for Salsa itself, you have the wiki.debian.org/salsa page, which is the entry point for Salsa documentation. And obviously it's based on GitLab CI, so the technical stuff about how it works you can read in GitLab's documentation, but the part of who is maintaining it and how it works for Debian is here. And if you want to talk to the Salsa admins, they have an email alias. You can write salsaadmin@debian.org, and you can also file issues. They have a support repository, and you can file issues here if you want to talk to the Salsa admins. If you want to talk to the Salsa CI team, then there is no mailing list at the moment. So, but you can file an issue here in the repository. And now one thing which is in Gobi also mentioned is that having a mailing list for the CI team or a general mailing list that is public, not just an alias going to the admins, but a list that is public that anybody can join in, read the archives, and discuss on would be good. And we have a preliminary promise to get this list, Salsa-CI. You can follow that bug or vote on that bug if you want to have this list faster. It's linked here, 905581. Do you have some other ideas on how to improve communication?
Debian CI team. To avoid the fusion with the other team, Debian CI, Debian.net. Just let me fix that code.
Yes, we know there's a delay on the stream. So once you hear this, just write in the IRC and we will go 2 minutes back in time and discuss your question. So Robbie is asking that GitLab CI's focus on Docker images is against the general needs of Debian. And I know this because I'm maintaining a package that is a service. So for example, regular Docker images don't have systemd running, so it doesn't correctly test how the service files interact. And for example, it's impossible for me at the moment to test if a system restarts, like it does a full boot and the service comes up as it should. But now there are some new developments here, and you have KVM images and LXD images available. You can, Augustin can tell more about them.
Yeah, it works. Right now, auto package test is running using LXC. So every test is run in a container. So you can have systemd daemons there. And it supports reboot, I guess. I am not quite sure if there is an yeah, okay. So yeah, we changed, despite GitLab or the runners are containers Docker based, it doesn't matter actually. You have access to the devices, so on top of that you can create containers and they will run well. And as you can see there, we are downloading the root file system for LXC, and then, well, you have to do some stuff to get the LXC running, but then we just execute the same script, the same script that it is used on Debian CI, Debian.net. So yeah, we are using the image to get the LXC installed there, but yeah, it doesn't matter actually. If we need to change that, we can do it. So, but yeah, it's more easy to get advantages if you can use container Docker based, but whatever.
Do you have tests, or do you envision it being possible having tests which involve multiple containers, if you will, like two MySQL instances talking to each other, maybe replicating? Is that possible in SalsaCI?
Not sure if I understood the question.
So let's say I want to bring up two MySQL instances for some kind of replication test, or something else that requires two instances and them talking to each other. Is that possible in this environment?
I've been thinking about doing Galera cluster testing this way, that I would have 3 machines, and then one machine would do a restart and the others would be running and so on. And I haven't got around to do that, and I don't know if this is possible at the moment, but I would like to say that the GitLab CI is very flexible. So basically what you're doing is when you're doing your custom test, you're just writing shell script. So if you know in shell script that you are starting a few containers, and then after that you talk to one of the containers to do some tricks and stuff, then you probably can do this.
So you manage the containers in this shell script, if you will. You get your IPs, set things up, SSH into them, do stuff. That's okay.
Exactly.
So that's I've also been using Travis CI and some other systems, and I have to say I like GitLab CI the best because it's a YML file just like Travis CI, for example, but I think that the syntax is slightly easier and it has all the features built in that I usually want, and it's very easy to do custom your own bash script additions on top of that. So if you haven't tried using it yet, so please do it, so you will get experience. And also, in this brief 1 year, GitLab CI has evolved quite a lot, and I expect that as more and more Debian people are using it, it will evolve even faster. So questions about if something is possible or not will probably be irrelevant in a year or so.
They do releases very often, monthly. So usually, if you ask, I don't know, for something, maybe you will get that feature in the next month.
Yeah,
Well, because Salsa admins, after 1 day or 2, they just push the update.
Yeah, even Salsa, I get the emails about Salsa being upgraded. It's it's really cranking.
Let's do a quick poll here. So how many of you are Debian developers in the room? Maybe a third. How many of you are maintaining a package that is on Salsa? Okay, maybe half. So those who are not doing that, please move your package to Git and Salsa. You won't regret it. And how many of you who have your package on Salsa, how many of you have SalsaCI activated? Not so many. So it's very easy. Maybe I should quickly show it here. So I can show this Galera package as an example. So since it's Debian packaging, you can't put your GitLab CI YML file on the top level in the project. You need to put it inside the Debian project, Debian folder. And it's very simple. It basically just includes 2 files from the SalsaCI project. So you don't need to maintain it yourself. You're just including what SalsaCI people, Augustin and others, are doing. And your project will automatically use that. And each time you push, then the CI will run, and you will get the thing you are seeing here. It builds and then runs the tests. And if you want, you can then start extending the GitLab CI file with your own additional tests if you want to. But this is the bare minimum, and you can do this in like 5 minutes. So if you're not already doing this, please go and do it. Here's also the README. Yeah, and here on IRC there was a question if auto package test, what it refers to. So it refers to the auto package test code you have in your packaging. So with SalsaCI, you will be running auto package test every time you commit or push. So you'll get the results. And then after upload, the official CI system of Debian will run those tests again. And they will not, hopefully not fail, because during your development process, you've already noticed if they fail. All right, so what are the interests and goals of the Salsa admin team and Salsa CI team? Since we don't have any Salsa admin team members present, maybe Augustin would just tell what's the goal of the Salsa CI team.
Well, I remember that I have been written here. Just let me check. Yeah, basically detect problems before packages get to the archive, build and test on a reproducible environment shared by the people involved, and reduce the learning curve for newcomers. I think that we already talked about that, but yeah. And also we have future plans like build and test in different architectures. We are testing the packet sponsorship. They have ARM64 machines. So we already tried that last night or previous last night. And it works well. So we are trying to discuss with Salsa admins how to register those runners to allow use them globally. GitLab calls share runners. But yeah, basically we are working on that, build and test in different architectures. Another idea is testing upstream changes in Debian. Every time that upstreams push a new commit, a new pipeline, a new Salsa pipeline is triggered, and those tests are run. So you can, I don't know, get feedback as soon as possible if upstream does any change that break Debian, or is going to break Debian in the next release. And also propose new releases automatically. If you subscribe your repository to this feature, you will get a merge request every time that upstream pushes a new release. So basically, you will accept the merge request, and you can do the Debian upload after that. And of course, increase coverage in adding, I don't know, whatever the test that you do usually in your daily maintenance. That's it.
I didn't have time to write all of those. I was too slow to type.
Okay, I can feel more running. Yeah, another. Well, sure.
I heard you mention architectures, and it just occurred to me. The SalsaCI, the pipeline, does it run on all architectures? How do you select that?
Well, for now, it's only a
AMD.
x86.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you can pick the. Well, GitLab allows filtering the runners using a keyword called tags. So you can put there the architecture. We did that. I mean, we put ARM 8V, whatever. I don't remember the version, but yeah. Or AR64. I think that we tagged the runner with this label.
They already enable as share for the SalsaCI team, but so you have to enable manually because, as Tim already mentioned, they are not globally shared. You can manually on your project enable, right?
Yeah, you can manually register the runner in your project, but we cannot enable the runners globally because that we are not Salsa admins.
Right. So it uses the two tags. The Debian one for the generic, ARM64, which is the architecture, and AEA Arch64, which is the official one.
This might be a slight kind of a potential problem and source of conflict because the Salsa admins the more there is CI stuff running, the more it will consume runners, and the more all the logs and artifacts will consume more disk space. So it will incur more work for the Salsa admins. So this is something to consider. And my personal opinion is that at the moment I've heard that Debian gets quite a lot of cloud resources donated. So we are not running out of donations and resources at the moment. And I think that if people are voluntarily putting their time on packaging, and we have a system that increases the quality of packaging, then that outweighs any negative things with having more resources. So maybe the solution is not to like hinder adding more resources, but maybe to do something to expand the Salsa admin team so that there's more people who can respond to resource issues.
Yeah, makes sense. And right now, with the Salsa admins, they don't have any place to discuss these kind of things publicly. You just have an alias. But I know that the sponsorship from Google, it is something like 24,000 a year, and last year we only spent 4,000, and so they didn't. The renovation was for us a small amount because we didn't spend all the money. So I mean, these kind of decisions should be more discussed between the people that it is involved or putting energies on this SalsaCI thing. So yeah, probably will be nice if we have a mailing list and we can discuss these decisions openly, like trying to reach to the best decisions. I don't know.
My question about the base work of Salsa. Does everybody packages in Debian living in Salsa or no? Not yet. Are you planning to put them there?
So as far as I remember, the Debian policy doesn't dictate anything about where you should store your packages. It doesn't even tell you that you have to use version control. There are people who have just upload stuff on Debian, and then next time they upload something, they prepare it and upload again without any version control at all. So what you're kind of implying here, that should maybe the policy dictate that people should use Git, and should it dictate that people, if they use Git, put it on Salsa? What does the audience think?
So if maintainer doesn't use Salsa, we don't know the quality of the package, yeah?
So you can always go to the package and read the control file. And the control file will have a link to upstream sources and then the packaging sources if it's using version control.
There's a base quality, but then you test the mandatory run
My question about the Salsa CI, does big work with testing the package? Does the but other maintainers, if he manually creating the package, he doesn't provide all this number of tests. Yeah?
Sorry, I didn't understand your...
Does the maintainer provide for his package all these tests which CI done? So you can include in CI also some analyzers like the static analysis and so on.
Yes, so as I showed you, the test is So how this works is that GitLab CI detects that you have a GitLab CI file, or you configure it to detect it, and then it will execute what is defined in this file. So if you want to use SalsaCI, which means that it's the stuff that Augustin has prepared, then you just include those. Then your GitLab CI YML will look like this, and you just include the SalsaCI scripts that are ready-made, and they run the test that we have explained. But you can also write your own and run whatever tests you want.
So I have also two questions. How Salsa connects with the upstream source? How it know that a new version today coming, and how it upload to the...
So Salsa, or for that matter any other Debian packaging stuff, doesn't have any automatic connection to upstream. So you can run uscan, a tool that will then scan if upstream has any new releases, if the correct path or the correct URL is configured in the package. Or you can go to tracker.debian.org and open a page for some package, and then that will notify you that there's a new upstream release. But Salsa is not integrated in any way to run uscan and check for upstream releases.
So it's not automatic now, yeah?
But yeah, of course, the ideal would be that you would have as much as things automatically as possible. And one of the ideas that Augustin has, that there would be a script that would automatically check upstream if there are new releases. And not only that, but if there is a new release, it would kind of semi-automatically package that or import that into the Debian package and then run the tests on that, so that the maintainer can just go and look at, is this package still working after importing?
It's not working yet, yeah? And the last question, how I can know what the version is, for example, in Buster or in Stretch? Does in GitLab any tags maybe or something else to know that this code must be in the Buster?
Are you familiar with tracker.debian.org? Yeah. So if you're interested about knowing something about some package, then I recommend this as the first place to check out information. And you were now asking about Git tags in relation to releases. So as said, there is nothing in the Debian policy that mandates that the maintainer must use version control at all. And if the developer uses version control and how they use it is not mandated by the policy in any way. But if there are some very common practices, for example, using git build package, and if you use git build package, then it will tag in Git the releases at the same time when you upload. So it's not 100% foolproof because it's based that something is done at the same time. There's no system enforcing it from the outside. But for example, I use git build package. So if you want to know which commit exactly of, for example, Galera package is in unstable at the moment, then you can go to the Git repository and then look at the tags, which are here. And then you will find, for example, this tag, Debian/25.3.26-1. So this is the version that I've uploaded to Debian. But this is not enforced by anything on the outside, so this is just based, you have to trust me that I tagged the correct version at the same time when I did the upload.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so here's a question from Inaki. We already have some issues on GitLab where we had to push quite a bit. Some of them went good. How should we do this as in name of Debian? I don't quite understand this question.
Yeah, we for the include sentence, for the include feature in GitLab, we requested to gitlab.com on behalf of Debian. We need that feature be released in the community edition instead of the enterprise edition, because GitLab has two, well, there are like 4 variations or something like that, and not all the features are open source. Well, they are open, but you have to pay for them, and Debian is using only the community edition. And there are, now we have like, I think that one issue that we are pushing on behalf of Debian. Let me find it. I will try to find it and put it there. And we don't know how exactly push that issue, or I don't know, like on behalf of Debian, we need this feature be released as part of the community edition. So yeah, I think that Phil answered that question. Like Phil think that encouraging people to thumb up issues is going to piss them off pretty quickly. So it might be better to talk to them about that and ask if there is something more constructive we can do instead of just upvoting every issue.
Yeah, I wrote here that this is perhaps overlapping, because I think that the Salsa admin teams, when they are doing something regarding Debian's instance of GitLab, they probably discuss with the GitLab developers of what their needs are and something like that. And then the SalsaCI team is also doing requests like this. So if it was just one team, like talking with one mouth in some situations where you need more weight on what you're saying, then that would help Debian's interests get through. And I think, what's your experience? Are the GitLab developers receptive to your feedback? Do they value the fact that they get lots of visibility now when Salsa is running GitLab?
Well, not much, I guess. But yeah, and in the previous feature that we requested, Chris sent an email. Chris wrote something in the issue, and then after that, maybe 1 month later, they released the feature. Or they put it there, we are going to release the feature. So maybe it is important to have a way to communicate with them instead of just going, everyone going there and just upvoting. Okay. I will try to.
You say you're using a community edition, yeah? Version of GitLab.
I couldn't hear, there was a truck going behind here.
What?
Can you please repeat?
Repeat, okay. You said you are using a community edition of GitLab, yes? Why you can buy the good version?
Yeah, so why is Debian using the community edition and not the paid edition?
Yes.
Well, I think it's probably in the Debian's interest to only use strictly open source software and not use any
So
versions that we can't
it's
see
not-
the source code and contribute to.
It's not money problem, yeah? It's
No, it's not the money. It's a
Okay.
principal problem. There's a question in the back. Can you?
So now some people use the SalsaCI now, and is there any resource program or how to track the monitoring the consume the resource? Because if all of Debian developers and contributors use SalsaCI, then my understand we kick some workers and it consumed a lot of resources, right? And do we have enough resource now or not? And how to track the resource monitoring? Can we see any resource graph for that?
Basically, today is only the main of the Salsa admins. We don't have those number, and but yeah, I know that we didn't spend. We spent last year. We spent only the 15% that Google gave us, and it wasn't good because then Google the renovation was for less money because we didn't spend the whole.
So we have
Yeah,
enough,
we
enough
have
resource now.
yeah.
So we learned
We
a
are not-
lot of this.
We are not spending the
Yeah.
money that we should be spending because, yeah, as Otto said, it is the improvement that it has is really huge. So we should try to spend the whole money that we get. I don't know, as much as we get.
Yeah, so Augustin told that Google is currently donating 24,000 or something like that dollars worth of Google Cloud resources, and last year only 4,000 of that was used. So Salsa could use 5 times more without any changes to how much resources we have available. And also you should consider that I believe that when SalsaCI helps developers track problems early on, then they make less uploads. And when they make less uploads, then you are making a smaller strain on Debian's official builders and Debian's official permanent archives.
Yes.
An FTP Master, yeah. So I think SalsaCI helps save resources in other places, and it's not over-consuming anything at the moment.
So we should enable the SalsaCI pipeline now.
Yes, my recommendation, absolutely, everybody start using SalsaCI.
Yes.
There's no excuse not to do it.
Okay, I try it. Thank you.
And I will stay here after this talk or outside. If you want help, I will help you to enable SalsaCI.
Thank you.
And we are over our time's up now. So thanks for everybody who participated, and maybe some of these policy issues and the fact that we have 2 teams that maybe should merge is something that you could carry on into Debian Devel list maybe. All right, thank you.